Guess you'd call this puppy love. Them her pride and joy. Their constant safety his greatest concern. Yes, out driving, you want your family safe. Perhaps you think real road safety means lots of money for expensive tires.
But now, for the very first time, here are tires that mean your family can have dramatic new advances in safety at no advance in price.
That's right. With the superb new U.S. Royal Safety 8 furnished on America's finest new cars, your family gets the last word in safety advances at the price of ordinary tires.
Puncture protection? We pounded nails like these into this tire, then drove over 2,200 miles. The air loss was too small to measure.
Safe stops? You stop a full car length faster.
Give your family advanced safety at no advance in prices.
Get the new Safety 8 in all sizes, tubed or tubeless, rayon or nylon.
The Us is U.S. rubber for your family. Buy no other. Always look for us.
Time, July 4, 1943. Place, the New Georgia group of islands in the South Pacific. Duty, search out and discover the Japanese method of supplying and reinforcing their personnel on New Georgia. The USS Strong, a Navy destroyer, was engaged on this mission when she was hit by the enemy. The Strong's magazine was hit. She exploded and sank 25 minutes later. Among the survivors of the Strong were 3 men who were fortunate enough to make shore.
That tastes good.
Not much of a trail around, but we got company.
Natives?
Don't think they care much for Jap beer, sir. Doesn't smell too stale either. Beat up blanket, too.
They must have been here recently.
Let me take a look at you, sir. Maybe I can figure out what's wrong.
When did you become a medic, Joe?
Well, I studied first aid once at our hometown volunteer fire department.
I guess you know more than either one of us, then. Go ahead.
Help me turn him over, Scotty. We can roll him into the blanket and use it to carry him later. I hope this doesn't hurt too badly, sir.
He's passed out again, Joe.
Just as well. Let's get him up, Scotty.
Guess I drew a blank. What do you think?
I don't know, sir. The only visible mark is a big bruise on your back.
That's from when the explosion slammed me into the rail.
Must be something inside, some injury to the lower part of your spine. Wait a second. Now try and move your feet. Try again.
How am I doing?
Not too good.
Well, we spent enough time worrying about this thing. Let's get on to something more important. Estimate of the tactical situation. How do we stand on supplies?
Well, we've got 4 cans of rations, besides the one we finished. There's plenty of water from the spring. Quite a few coconuts on the ground.
Weapons? Well, I guess this is the armament, then.
Well, where do you figure we are, sir?
We're on Arundel Island, all right. I'll memorize those charts, knowing we might have to walk away from Kula Gulf.
Listen.
They gone?
All clear.
It might come in very handy to know if they make their patrols at the same time every day. Might even save our lives, in fact. We better shift to a spot further down the island. There's a possible crossing place there from Arundel to New Georgia. If we can make it to New Georgia, we might stand a chance of getting over into our own lines. Hand me those ration cans. Now, here's the situation. That's Kolombangara Island, the main Jap base in this area. That's Blackett Strait. Here's Arundel Island. That's us. There's New Georgia. That's where we gotta get. So let's get going right now.
Time, 9 days later. Place, 1 mile further south on Arundel Island. Duty, survival.
And the last 10 days should have shown you just how much chance we ever have of getting out of this spot with me along.
But what chance will you have if we go off and leave you?
Scotty's right, and you know it.
All right, I know it. But 2 men getting back to the Navy, even 2 worthless guys like you, may be of some use. And the 3 of us rotting to death here certainly aren't.
I won't do it.
Me neither.
This is an order.
Okay, Lieutenant.
Now, your best bet will be to shove off right now. Here, Scotty, you take my shoes. You'll have more use for them than I will. Sorry, Joe, wrong size. Here's the sheath knife. I'll just keep the penknife. If you can make it to New Georgia, you ought to be able to join our people.
Mr. Miller, this is crazy.
It's the best way.
There's 2 cans of water.
5, 6, 7 coconuts.
You'll find me waiting here for you when you get back with the rescue party. Better take a couple of life jackets with you. The next day and a half was kind of rugged. I'd thought it was bad before, but being alone made it a lot worse. I finished the water the 12th day on Arundel. There were still 4 coconuts left. It hadn't rained for days. I prayed and told the Lord that if He'd give me water, I'd get up from that place. That night, it started to rain. I found out you can't catch much water in your hands. I could hear the water pouring down off the leaves of a tree a few feet away. It was enough to drive you crazy. A slow trip, and I was remembering how quick these tropical storms can stop. That was when I realized I'd forgotten to drag the cans along. All I could think of was that if I ever made it back home, I'd never leave a tap running again. Next day, when I awoke, I looked straight up at the sky, and I knew that my prayer for water had been answered. It was now my turn to keep my part of the bargain. I pulled my body up. It hurt, but I felt I could do it. Every piece of me burned with pain. I finally made it, and my staff finally felt the weight of my drawn-out frame. Little by little, I started to walk. Each step was a milestone and a frightful experience. I wanted to rest, but I was scared that if I ever sat down, I'd never get up again. The more I walked, the more chances I took. I even left my staff at the hideout, which wasn't very smart. I tried to get to the beach to look for food. I no sooner got in the middle of the beach when overhead a Jap Zero spotted me. I turned and started to run, but I tripped. Down he came. He had me, but his aim wasn't true, thank heavens, for despite the fact that he did succeed in hitting me, it was fragments from his strafing bullets that embedded themselves in my neck and arms. I was sure that the Jap pilot would report seeing me. Apparently, he never did, for I received no more visitors in the next 24 hours.
Feel like the Rocky Mountains when you wake up mornings? You can take all the sag out of your slumber for just $2 a year more. Get rid of ordinary mattresses, such as these.
Hey, that's my new foam mattress.
Right, but not all foams alike. Just look here, wide single cores that can sag. Now look at this difference. It's U.S. Coilon foam, the only double cord mattress made. Thanks to that exclusive small double coring, closely spaced, there's never any sag to your slumber. On Coilon, you're gently but firmly supported. And the difference between ordinary wide single cord foam and U.S. Coilon, with its exclusive double coring, is just $2 a year. That's how little more you pay for U.S. Coilon foam, the mattress that can give you 20 years or more of real slumbering comfort. Take the sag out of your slumber. Heavy or light, sleep straight, sleep right. On U.S. Coilon foam, double cord for double comfort.
The Us is U.S. rubber for your family. By no other, always look for Us.
To stop further bleeding, I could do no more than squeeze my wounds until the blood stopped flowing. It worked. Next morning, I spotted something floating in the shallow waters at the edge of the beach. First time a Jap had done me a favor, although he hadn't meant to. 3 cans of rations, a bayonet, and best of all, 2 hand grenades and shoes and socks. I guess he'd been in the water quite a long time. The firing pins on both grenades looked awfully rusty. But even 2 rusty grenades and a bayonet meant I could do something better than throw rocks at the Japs if they found me. I kept wondering about the Jap patrols. What was behind it all? Except this time it looked like I'd have to stop thinking and acting. As they came closer to my hangout, I grabbed a grenade and felt this was my only chance. I waited. It worked. Once the kill was made, I literally robbed them of everything useful. why we'd never been able to find out how they were reinforcing their personnel on New Georgia. They were running down alongside Arundel Island until they almost got down to the Diamond Narrows. Then they cut across Hawthorne Sound and landed at a well-hidden spot, Cutter Point on New Georgia. Now I had a real reason for staying alive. Somehow or other, I was gonna have to get back with this information. Next morning, same routine. If they stuck to form, the next patrol wouldn't come down the beach till noon. If they didn't, well, I'd find out whether those firing pins on those grenades were too rusty. But I still didn't have one answer. How was I gonna get the word back to where it would do some good? I knew that any American flyer who spotted my message could check the missing list of our destroyer, the Strong. I decided I wouldn't waste time thinking about what would happen if the plane that spotted it was a Jap, or if their patrols decided to change their routine. It became my regular routine. Print my message after the Jap dawn patrol had passed. Erase it out before the noon patrol. Replace it after that, and wipe it out before sunset. One day, sometime later, I'll forget which, but it was special because I contacted an American plane. Saw me, gave me the USA glad hand. My heart pounded the very walls of my chest with excitement. I felt help was imminent. Again, the sea was kind to me in a strange way. Another Japanese soldier washed ashore. More arms and clothing. The first thing I did was try on the shoes. I guess my feet were too big. I never did get a pair that fit, and I finally wound up with 22 pair. The body didn't wash out to sea as I expected, but lay on the shore as if it deliberately wanted to give away my secret. That night, I noticed the Japs were awfully busy. Patrols were moving briskly and machine gun nests were being set up. It could only mean that our PT boats were raising some heck with their barges, and they wanted to cover them all the way down the coast. I watched them all the time trying to figure out what I could do so as to get my hands on one of their rifles. The thing I needed more than anything was a rifle, the one weapon which gives a man a chance when he's isolated. As they talked, I toyed with the idea of just throwing one of my grenades and then rushing into whatever was on the other end of the explosion. Suddenly, up above, I hear a plane. It was one of our PBY Black Cats, the night prowlers who harassed the Japs. As he passed, I noticed that he dropped fragmentation bombs. This was just the patsy I needed. I prayed that he'd come back. He did. And this time, when he made his pass, I let go my grenade. It went off at the right time. My quarterback arm that I used at Alabama was right on the button. I'd hoped to find a usable rifle, but instead I found one of the Japs still alive, and I quickly killed him with a strong thrust. The only thing I could salvage was some more shoes and a few more grenades. The next night I did the same thing. My boys and the Black Cat were right on time. I again threw my grenade. Worked like a charm for nights after that, but still no rifle. Only plenty of dead Japs and leftover gear and food. One morning, I started to question the wisdom of my continued attacks every night. I was starting to collect a lot of valuable intelligence material, such as letters, charts, diaries from the bodies of dead Japanese. It was going too well, and I just couldn't believe that the Japs were so stupid as to think that a harassing bomber could actually hit one of their machine gun nests every night. It's just too pat. That night, I waited for the cat. It came. Again, I saw nothing but rubble, except 2 Japs were still alive. I killed the one who was stationary instantly. The other crawled and screamed. I jumped him and choked him to death. The screams of this man frightened me. I was sure others heard it and my game was up. I didn't even stop for any loot. I ran. I was frightened. I lost control as I reached my hideout. I wept and trembled as the night sounds rang in my brain with a maddening whine. A lizard fell on my face, and I screamed and brushed it off. It didn't sound like an American plane, but I made up my mind I'd have to take the gamble. If it was an American, I'd just have to show myself. It was American. American. I never realized all the material I'd accumulated. Somehow or other, I was going to get back with this information. In the meantime, a Jap patrol spotted us.
And now a word from our alternate sponsor, Pall Mall Famous Cigarettes.
The smoking lamp is lighted in all authorized spaces.
The smoking lamp is lighted in all authorized spaces.
Have one of mine, Saunders.
Thanks. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, don't miss the fun of smoking. Mildness is a pleasure with Pall Mall. Yes, mildness is something you enjoy. It's a pleasure with Pall Mall. You get every bit of the flavor that makes smoking fun, while Pall Mall's natural filter, greater length of traditionally fine tobaccos, travels the smoke further, filters the smoke, and makes it mild. That's why mildness is a pleasure with Pall Mall. So don't miss the fun of smoking. Buy Pall Mall Famous Cigarettes in the distinguished red package today. Outstanding.
And they are mild.
You, Lieutenant Hugh Barr Miller, Jr., received the Navy Cross from Admiral W.F. Halsey. If a tear can be detected in your eyes, it's for those who did not survive, including Scott and Chadwick, whom you ordered to leave you and you later found out were picked up and killed by the Japanese. A man can cry when he has to cry. A man can pray when he has to pray. And a man can live when he has to live. These things you were man enough to do. To get this full story, Sam Galoo went to Pensacola, Florida, to see Hugh Barr Miller, the man who survived this fantastic ordeal.
Commander Miller, I came to Pensacola not only to get the story of your experiences on Arundel Island, but also to see this very ferocious weapon which you used in your escapade. May we see it, sir?
Well, that's the weapon. It's a piece of knife blade, and when I set my men on to try to get out from behind the Jap lines, I gave them all of my equipment, and this is all that I retained for myself. I ended up, however, with about 1,400 rounds of rifle ammunition and some broken rifles and a broken machine gun and 22 pairs of shoes and a lot of other equipment that I certainly could and did use.
Any Japanese?
I accounted for 20 Japs while I was there, but most important, I got out with a lot of intelligence material that was of real service to our forces.
Commander, I thank you very much for talking with me, and I wish you well in your future life.
Thank you very much, Mr. Galoo.
Thank you,
pleasure.
sir.
Navy Log has been brought to you this evening by United States Rubber, maker of 33,000 products for home and industry. Next week, Navy Log will be brought to you by Pall Mall Famous Cigarettes, product of the American Tobacco Company, America's leading manufacturer of cigarettes.